when Sicky suggested we go camping for our anniversary. I was pretty excited. We both loved the outdoors, and it sounded like a great way to spend some quality time together. We packed up our tent, sleeping bags, and enough food for a few days, then drove out to this remote spot in the woods that Sicky had heard about from a friend. It was supposed to be really secluded and beautiful. The first day was perfect. We set up camp near a small clearing, not too far from a sparkling creek. We hiked, talked, and roasted marshmallows by the fire as the sun set. It felt like we were the only two people in the world, but things started getting weird that night. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of footsteps outside our tent. At first, I thought it was an animal, but the footsteps were too deliberate, like someone was trying to be quiet, but wasn't quite succeeding. I nudged Sicky awake, whispering that someone was outside. He grabbed the flashlight and unzipped the tent, just enough to shine a beam outside. Nothing. The footsteps stopped, and we both laughed it off as our imaginations playing tricks on us. The next day, we decided to explore the area a bit more. We found an overgrown path that led deeper into the forest. After about an hour of walking, we stumbled upon an old abandoned house. It looked like it had been there for decades, maybe even a century. The wood was rotting, and vines had taken over most of the structure. Sicky, being the adventurous type, wanted to check it out, but I had a bad feeling about it. There was something off about that place, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Despite my protests, we went inside. The floorboards creaked under our weight, and the air was thick with dust. The house was empty, but it felt like someone had just left. There were old, faded photographs on the walls and a few pieces of broken furniture. We found a small, rusty box in one of the rooms. Inside were some old letters and a locket with a black and white photo of a woman. It all felt very eerie, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. That night, back at our campsite, things got even stranger. We were sitting by the fire when we heard a faint whispering sound. It seemed to be coming from the direction of the abandoned house. Sicky, ever the skeptic, said it was just a wind, but I knew it was something else. The whispering grew louder, and I could make out a few words. Leave now. I wanted to pack up and go, but Sicky convinced me to stay. He said it was probably just our minds playing tricks on us after seeing that creepy house. Reluctantly, I agreed to stay one more night. Big mistake. In the middle of the night, I woke up again. This time, it wasn't footsteps. It was the sound of children laughing. I shot up, my heart pounding in my chest. Sicky was already awake, his face pale. We both heard it. The laughter was coming from the woods, getting closer and closer. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Silence. It was the most unnerving thing I've ever experienced. We decided to leave first thing in the morning, but when we woke up, we found that our campsite had been trashed. Our tent was slashed, our food scattered everywhere. It looked like a wild animal had gone through our stuff, but there were no animal tracks, just strange, small footprints that didn't look human. We quickly packed up what was left of our gear and started the hike back to our car. As we were leaving, I glanced back at the clearing one last time. That's when I saw her, a woman, standing at the edge of the woods, watching us. She was wearing an old-fashioned dress, and her eyes were dark and hollow. I blinked, and she was gone. We made it back to our car and drove away as fast as we could. We haven't been camping since. I don't know what we encountered out there, but I know one thing for sure. Some places are better left alone, and that house in the woods, it's one of them. To this day, I still have nightmares about that trip. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, convinced I can hear those children laughing again. Sicky tries to reassure me that it was all just our imaginations, but deep down, I know the truth. There's something out there, something evil, and it's watching, waiting for its next victims.